Austin on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's even more beautiful for the UT fans. Mike Tirico, Tim Brandt. We'll check with Suzy Schuster down on the field in a second. Timmy, they did so much so well. For Mack Brown, what do you say when you go in there at halftime? You got to feel so good about the bounce back.
Well, I think Young was almost flawless. He was 16 of 18 passing. He had 48 yards rushing, and everything he did was pre-snap. I mean, he knows here that the blitz is coming here. They're going to go this way, and so what he does is he has this guy pick up this guy, and then over in the center, he says he's picking up him, and watch. He knows Pittman is in the slot. Pittman runs a post. Blitz is picked up. He had called it out pre-snap, and he just put some air under the ball and let Pittman run to it. I mean, everything he's doing successfully is he's a gifted athlete, number one, but he's reading defenses so well now. Pre-snap, he's making calls, he's picking up blitzes, he's pointing where the safety is, he's telling everybody where everybody is before the snap, and so he's successful before they even get the play going.
Understanding so much more. Down to Suzy Schuster.
Well, Mike, I asked Gary Barnett point blank, do you have the personnel to stop this Texas offense? He said, I don't even know if we have the guys to shut them down. He said our guys are playing so quiet on that, but I told them to get back in the game and fight hard again. He said, we'll find out if they have that personnel for the second half. Now, as for Mack Brown, he did say that we're done seeing Jamal Charles for the day. Didn't play well, didn't feel well. We won't see him again. It's time to stop Joel Klatt before he gets hot. Mike?
All right, Suzy, thank you. Joel Klatt did have his best part of the game there. The last two drives, a sustained drive that didn't get anything in terms of a touchdown, but got a Mason Crosby 48-yard field goal, and then a nice 8-play 64-yard drive at the back end of the first half that led to the touchdown to Evan Judge.
Talking with Gil Brandt, the great NFL scout, former Dallas Cowboy employee, during halftime, really likes Joel Klatt. Says that Joel Klatt expect a better half out of him, but he loves the way he throws the football. He loves how tough he is. He's been watching him a long time. Just thinks he's a quality guy. So we'll see if he can pick up his play here in the second half.
Mason Crosby's kickoff will go 5 yards deep in the end zone. Will not be returned by the Longhorns, and they'll start at their own 20.
And let's take time out for the Pacific Life game summary. It has been all Texas in the first half. As you look at the statistics, just look at the total yards, look at the time of possession, and look at the third down conversion. 7 for 8 for Texas down at the bottom of the screen. I mean, they've dominated in every facet of the game, and of course that was led by Vince Young. So we'll see what happens here in the second half, but the Longhorns almost flawless in the first half.
The junior out of Madison High School, Houston, Texas, on his way to perhaps a 23rd win as a starter. 22-2 in his UT career. This one deflected high up in the air and incomplete. Let me say about a nice little play here by Selvin Young. Just in case the defensive end had any designs to go get an interception on the deflection, he just knocked him down before he could go chase that ball that was deflected. Nice play by the running back, 22.
And a nice play by Wright, who's 6'3", 240 pounds, got that big wingspan, and coming off the end, playing on the outside, got that wingspan up and blocked the pass.
That'll bring up second down and 10 for the Longhorns. Just 3 incompletions here for Vince Young on the day.
If Colorado could just make a stop, it would be a big confidence booster.
Make a play, make something happen. Young's been the one doing that. Gains about 6. We'll give him officially 5, so second and 5 coming up. Thaddeus Washington and Alex Ligon doing the chasing. Vince Young has many people who are now saying that's the role model for the quarterback of this generation in college football. He had a role model for himself in Steve McNair, the outstanding quarterback with the Tennessee Titans. And McNair, not just an on-field role model, but off the field as well. And we'll tell you the story in a little bit about how Vince has used McNair, not just as an example, but as a real great leaning post as a man and a player. First down pass complete. There goes the tight end, David Thomas, bouncing off like a pinball. Take him out to the 46. A 21-yard gain for the senior. And Texas keeps the drive alive.
So many weapons from so many different directions. Colorado having a hard time. They've got their heads on a swivel, just trying to figure out where all these guys are coming from. But they ought to figure out Thomas pretty quickly here, because he's having a huge day. Thomas had 5 catches last week against Oklahoma. I think he's got 5 again here today. They've got to pick up where he's coming from, hit him off that line of scrimmage.
First and 10 with Selvin Young in the backfield. There he takes it for about a yard. The pile was pushed forward by the Colorado defense. Vaka Manapuna helping do that. There's Manapua, the senior, 6'1". But he made a good play. Raised some eyebrows, chasing down Reggie McNeil last week in the game against Texas A&M.
You know, we talked about what a field position team Colorado is, and that's how they win games. And that's usually set up by the defense and their punting, which we've talked about. But against this offense, Manapuna, all these guys, they're having a tough time figuring out where the point of attack is.
Blitz coming. Young picked it up. Right down. Thomas there is a little safety blanket. First down to the 45-yard line.
There again, a good pre-snap read by Vince Young. He knows it's coming. He knows that his tight end is just running a little slip. I mean, that's about as well as you can execute a play.
There are David's numbers here on the day. He's above his season average at 11.5 per catch, 12 plus now. Simple toss by Vince Young, a nice block to free Brian Carter for a gain of 9 yards. We talked about the Steve McNair relationship with Vince Young. Vince talks about Steve's impact in his life.
Just becoming a better man, period. I mean, you don't have to have your father figure around just to be a better man. I mean, you can just look at different things in the world that can help you strive to become a better man. Being humble. I mean, I like the way how he hang with his family, his kids, especially his kids, and I'm a big fan of kids, so he helped me out a whole lot like that, just becoming a man off the field emotionally.
Vince Young, like Steve McNair, no father figure around in his life at an early age, so Vince kind of just took over with his sisters, and Mom just acted from an early age as the man of the household. Gives here to Selvin Young, who gets a first down to the 27-yard line. Susie has more on the McNair tie with the quarterback for Texas.
Well, Mike, we all laughed when he showed up at interviews yesterday wearing a McNair Pro Bowl jersey. He said he gave it to him like it was nothing. But he did tell me, you know, I kind of wanted one of the old Oiler blue ones, being a Houston guy. So I got on the phone with McNair. He promises he'll have that Oiler blue jersey by the end of the year.
Yeah, the old Titans moving over from Houston. The Love You Blue days. It was early in Vince's life, but what an example to have, not just as a quarterback who's been in that group with Donovan McNabb and Dante Culpepper and Michael Vick, breaking the stereotype of African-American quarterbacks succeeding on the next level, but also as a man. The throw by Young is hauled in. Beautiful catch by Billy Pittman. I'm sorry, it's Limas Sweed catching it. Sweed just tenderly reaching down with that left foot. Gets up, hops up, moves the chains. Nope, it'll be a gain 8. Just shy of first down. Sorry about that.
Texas lining up with 2 tight ends. It's almost like the old wishbone really technique for the linemen. They zone block, and then they throw back the other way on the waggle to Pittman. Talking to Pittman yesterday and looking at the size of his hands, they're twice the size of our hands, and he's got that great speed to go along with him.
Selvin Young tries to get the corner. Beautiful open field play. J.J. Billingsley will get a high grade on that one. A penalty marker comes down. That'll be the 6th penalty on Mack Brown's team. Matt Nordgren, the backup quarterback, flexing his arms there. Might get a chance to play here in a little bit.
Running that zone blocking, the reach blocking, and the hands extended.
It's a spot foul, so they're determining exactly where the penalty occurred and then take it back from there. And Cooper Castleberry's got it all settled out.
Holding number 16 in the offense. Penalty is 10 yards and replay second down.
David Thomas, the tight end, who's gotten all those accolades for his pass catching.
See 16 right there was a tackle, takedown.
It's a nice tackle.
Hands went to the outside of the defender and just butt tackled it. Draws a grin from everybody.
It's Jamal Charles, that smiling running back, averaging almost 9 yards a carry. Played just 1 series, carried it 3 times with that ankle injury. No reason to push him here, no need for him today, and that really couldn't be as effective as normal. Try to save him up for next week when Texas Tech comes in. Young with time, throws it a hair late, the pass is incomplete. intended for Ramon Taylor.
Charles injured that ankle against Oklahoma last week, but then he really tweaked it in practice on Wednesday. We arrived, and Mac Brown was the first guy I saw when I got to practice. He says, hey, you're not going to see Charles. Jamal's not going to play because of his ankle. He hurt it Wednesday in practice, and by today he was out there running, warming up, and as you said, he won a series and actually carried the ball 3 times. Oh, to be young again.
All the comparisons with that young guy, the bright future he has as well. What a eye-popping performance he had, not just in that game, but in the opener when he went for 135, over 180 against Rice. We have another penalty marker down.
And all the great numbers he has, and you know, Mike, the one I think he's going to take with him as long as he lives is he's the first Texas freshman running back to run for over 100 yards against Oklahoma. And when you can do that in the Red River shootout, whoo.
Dead ball foul. Offside by number 93 of the defense. The penalty is 5 yards, and it's still 3rd down.
Vaca Manapuna makes it 3rd and 6 instead of 3rd and 11. What do you think it did for this Texas program after the 5 years to beat Oklahoma so soundly as they did in Dallas a week ago today?
Well, when you talk to all these guys, they say, well, you know, we didn't feel the pressure that the fans did. We didn't think about it constantly like the fans did, and Mac was under a lot of pressure, but he says, I didn't feel that either because we knew we were doing the right things. Bottom line is they did, and they weren't telling anybody. And so I think there was great relief when they beat Oklahoma. And when his wife Sally, who celebrates her birthday tomorrow, said he's going to sleep well after the Oklahoma game, I think she was right.
3rd and 6. Vince Young swings it out to Selvin Young. Nice open field play to bring him down by Akarika Dawn, and it'll bring up 4th down.
Happy birthday, Sally.
So I think the Texas offense has just lost it. They didn't score a touchdown. It's the first time today they've been held without a touchdown. We're going to get a field goal try, a long field goal too, for David Pino. His longest of the season was the big 42-yarder he hit in Columbus against Ohio State. This one's going to be 39 yards. Made them all this year. Nordgren spots it. Pino missed it to the right. So his first miss of the season. And Colorado's defense, although it took 5 minutes and 9 seconds, doing exactly what they needed. Come out with a stop, get the ball back for Joel Klatt and the CU offense. Colorado scored on its last 2 possessions. If they can get one here, they'll keep some interest. Pino the miss for the first time this year. Hook 'em horns. 35-10, UT on top. First time they've been stopped on a drive here in this 6th game of the season. Defense back on the field. Joel Klatt leads the Colorado offense from the 22. Swing it out to Hugh Charles, the running back who's been stopped in the ground game. Give him 6 to the 28. That excellent safety, Michael Huff, and Aaron Harris on the tackle.
One of the best first down plays of the afternoon. They pick up 6 yards, bring up 2nd and short. Now you can go to your playbook. Now you can really be a little bit more deceptive on 2nd down, run or pass. Got good blockers out there. Basically, Joel just got it out to him in a hurry, broke it down to 2-on-2 football.
Pick up 6, 2nd and 4. And Byron Ellis getting a few more turns, yards shy of the first down. A gain of 3, 3rd and 1 coming up.
Get this first down and try to carry some of this momentum. Their last drive of the first half ended in a touchdown. Come out here in the second half and get your first drive going pretty good.
Gary Barnett 1 and 3 against Texas. The 1 sticks in the craw. UT fans, the game Timmy was talking about before, the 37-35 game in 2001 in the Big 12 championship game. And even though this has been lopsided, this could be a preview of the Big 12 title game. To the edge, Charles. First down and more. Got across the 40 and slides down to the 43. I like what I see, and I like the way they use Hugh Charles. He's the one game-changing potential guy they have.
And for the first time today, we saw speed on Colorado outrunning Texas. I mean, Wright got through there. Wright thought he had a chance of making the tackle on Charles, and he just ran around him. We've seen him go to the left now. We've seen him go to the right. They've mixed things up a little bit better than they did in the first half. Most of his success passing the ball was over the middle. Most of the runs were to the left side. Now they're going to the right, mixing it up both sides.
They threw it very effectively on first down in the first half. It's about the best thing they did offensively. Play clock at 5, so Klatt's in good shape. You see it there. There's a first down throw, complete to Dusty Sprague. The penalty marker down back at the line of scrimmage. We'll check that.
Saw with the quick out pass to the left. You saw him now go with the quick out pass on the right, mixing things up. They were not very diverse in that first half. You can't hurt yourself with penalties.
Nope. And very often it's not lining up properly.
An illegal formation on the offense. Number 89 was not on the line of scrimmage. The penalty is 5 yards, and it's still first down.
Kloffenstein, the tight end.
Break the field down and you see what he did in the first half, and you look over the middle, 6 for 11, and then if you go 15 yards or deeper, he was 2 for 3. So I mean, he was not very diverse. Now he's going to both sides. He's breaking this thing up a little bit, giving the defense of Texas a little more to think about.
Off the flag, 1st and 15, play action, looking deeper down the field. Oh, it was almost an interception and almost a big play all in one. Alvin Barnett, the intended receiver. I don't know if Cedric Griffin got a piece of it. There was nobody behind Barnett.
Looked like he got his hand on it, Mike. Tipped it beyond him. That's where, as a receiver, you say, I've got him beaten. But watch the catch-up speed. There's the left hand that just knocked it away at the last second. Or that is complete and moved the chains again. Wow. That's make-up speed there.
Cedric has that 4-year starter. 2nd and 15. 3rd consecutive pass. Clatt going sideline. Step for step, Terrell Brown had the coverage on Evan Judge as they just try to hit one deep one that they haven't thrown, and Terrell just shakes his head. Not on me. Not this time.
Mike, some of the so-called experts can sit back and watch Texas defense and watch their offense and say it's just better athletes. These are talented guys. They're fast guys. But they're well coached. The way he just covered that play inside out and used the sideline, I mean, Terrell Brown can't cover any better than this. I mean, just look, he forces him to the outside, then he rides on his inside hip using the sideline as his best buddy and just brackets it. That's perfect technique. That's good coaching.
3rd and 15. They rush 5, cover with 6. They try to go the same way, and Brown does it one more time, but a penalty marker comes down. As Patrick Williams was trying to break back for the ball.
It's going to be interesting to see who this is called on. It looks like it's going to be called on Brown, but they were bumping and grinding, and hands by both guys were extended. Against Texas. I'll tell you, this is a pretty good matchup going on right here now. Watch the technique again. He's going to try to force him back to the sidelines. Again, he jumps in his hip pocket, and he's got him pretty well covered. I don't see where there was any penalty there. That looked like great coverage again.
I agree.
Look at him. He's telling the crowd, come on, bring it on. You're right.
What does Rush Limbaugh say? Megadittos? I agree with you, sir. If anything, the contact was forced by the offensive player, and now the crowd's back into it. But CU's on the Texas side of midfield. First down run with Ellis to the 43. He was a step away from breaking that. The market back at the 45 where he first came down. Just a couple of yards there. It's just an avalanche if you're with us early as Texas came out and scored on its first 4 possessions, then added a 5th one. Meantime, Colorado went 3 and out the first couple of trips. Fell into a quick 14-0 hole at the end of the first quarter. Flat pressure, got to get rid of it. Does. Incomplete. The other tight end, Stepniewski, was in the neighborhood. That's why no grounding flag came in. Crowder, Timmy, came in and put the pressure on. He's out of Tyler, Texas.
You got both defensive ends trying to bracket him. They come in almost untouched. Well, you just cannot let these guys run. Look at the bottom of your screen. You just let them run because you're going to release on a pass pattern, but you can't do that. You've got to make contact, explode into him, hold him a second, then release. Well, we saw Thomas run that same pattern earlier. He made the hit, then slid off for the catch.
Great point. They need to get to the 37 to keep the drive alive. You see the yellow line there, and the play clock says 0. It's never a good thing.
Dead ball foul. Delay of game on number 14 of the offense. Penalty 5 yards, and it's still 3rd down.
Can't beat yourselves, fellas. That'll frustrate you, won't it? Look at Gary.
Now we'll have 3rd and a dozen, or 3rd and 13 coming up. Gary Barnett wanted this job. He was one of the people that they talked to about this job when Mack Brown eventually was hired. Of course, the 7 years at Northwestern. Assistant for another Mack, Bill McCartney, the turnaround days in Colorado. 8 years there, 84 to 91. Special run that they had. And then the special run that Barnett authored at Northwestern. Texas asking for their fans to pick it up. Platt gets it off. They run option for the first time today with Hugh Charles nowhere. The penetration of Michael Hunt came up to snuff, and Colorado will have to punt it away.
The penalty made it almost impossible to try to get that first down. I mean, it made it 13 yards. You can't do that. Now they just don't want to turn it over. They're 35. They've given up 35 points to the Longhorns today. You don't want to give them the ball at midfield. So just penalties killed him.
Senior John Torp had that 56 to start. His other 2 kicks weren't as good. Try to drive it back inside the 20 and see if they can keep it away from Aaron Ross on a return. Left footer really high, but not very deep. Tough to catch. Ross moves through the traffic and picks it up at the 22. So it's not inside the 20. The net is only going to be 28 yards. 25 yards, I beg your pardon. And Texas will take over. UT by 25. The capital of Texas. Great building that is, especially all lit up in the evening.
It's a great city.
Oh, it is. You've been here a whole bunch. This is my first opportunity to come to a football game. I've been here to do stories, basketball games over at the Drum, but looking like a football Saturday in Austin. First down run by Selvin Young over to the 28-yard line, and here is Susie Schuster.
Well, Mike Tirico, we see Brian Iwu walking back off on the field, heading back into the locker room with a sprained left foot. He'd been walking it off on the sideline, trying to get that cramp out. He thought it was a cramp at first, but instead it is a sprained left foot. We'll have more information on whether he'll return. All
right, Susie, Iwu played in high school ball against Vince Young. Iwu is from Houston, Texas. And he was looking forward to this game. Good instinctive pass rusher, the quiet leader and captain of this Texas defensive crew.
Colorado's defense made a stop for the first time today in the last possession against Texas. Now Longhorns are upset here. They want to come out and get this thing rolling again.
With the play clock down at 1, Vince is going to keep this one. Try to dance to the hole and get it to the 32. We're going to get it to John Saunders for an update on ABC, John, right here in Austin. That will be a good one. 3rd down, Vince Young wrapped up, eluded a tackle, couldn't get there for the first down. J.J. Billingsley makes the play. Vince goes down to his back here. We'll have 4th down coming up. Let's see if he's okay. He's just tired and frustrated that he didn't get it. They're on all 4s, so we'll keep an eye on him as the punting unit will come out on the field.
You were talking about what a great performance he had in the Rose Bowl and how people are still buzzing about his 372 yards of total offense. This run here gets him right up around that area. You saw him take that low hit, and he immediately rolls over on his back. Take another look right there. Bam.
Yeah, Billingsley right goes to the ankle tackle. Was on all 4s and now gets up and walks his way on his own power back to the Texas bench. And we say hello to Richmond McGee, the punter. Hasn't kicked yet today until now. A 40-yard kick that looked like a very half-hearted fair catch signal by Stephen Robinson. He kind of threw the arm out there. You know, like you're trying to get the attention of the server at the restaurant, but you don't want to really insult them. It's like, watch this.
Let's see. Okay. Well, yeah, up. Never got up, though, so no. That is a no fair catch.
That's right. Once it gets above the shoulder, it's a fair catch signal. If not, you're just trying to get the waiter and say, bring the check to Mr. Brandt, please. Looks like Mr. Young's okay there on the bench. We'll check on him when we come back. This is the BCS Spotlight Game presented by ADT. Texas leading 35-10. Vince Young, an ankle tackle, was slow to get up after the last offensive play. We'll get to Susie Schuster for an update in a second. First, Joel Platt back to work from his own 28. Hey, what do you know? A waggle on first down.
And a drop pass.
Incomplete to Dusty Sprague. Sue's got an update down there?
Well, Mike, Vince Young just got off the bench. He'd been sitting with a towel around his head. He had the wind knocked out of him, but he is fine and will come back into this game.
Kind of at the point at 35-10 where maybe another drive or another couple of series go by without a score and it would be time.
Yeah, I agree. You know, this is a shocker, I think, for Colorado. Texas blasted them last year in Boulder 31-7. They held the Buffaloes to 1 of 11 on third down conversions. They didn't expect that here today, but it's been the same kind of dominance.
Movement by the left guard will cost him 5, or left tackle. Tight end over there on that side.
Dead ball foul. A false start by number 73 of the offense. The penalty is 5 yards, and it's still second down.
Clint O'Neill. Susie, you got more down there?
Well, I knew you guys would think that, so I asked Mac Brown, any chance we'll see Vince Young sit on the bench a little bit in the second half? He said, only if the game is so securely won. So there you go, guys.
Thank you.
Are we there yet, Mike?
No, not yet. Not secure yet. You know, Colorado knows comebacks. They've done it over the years. This defense is really good. I think that's the one unit you watch is defense when you separate these teams with this impressive offensive array. Here's another flag. They have the eye-popping offense with USC. They're trailing Notre Dame by 7 with 10 minutes left in the third quarter of that game. You know, Penn State is doing it with defense. They've tied their game with Michigan at 10.
A false start by number 73 of the offense.
All right, there you go, Clint.
Penalty is 5 yards.
2 in a row.
And it's still second down.
This is unbelievable. And, you know, I think back to yesterday when Gary Barnett and the team walked in here to just go through their little walkthrough and loosen up a little bit. And Gary was so confident. He said his kids were so confident. And then you see mistakes like this. Just the little flinch, the little twitch, enough to draw the flag, and they just continue to hurt themselves.
Second now and 20. Flat got rid of it quick. Meet Charles. What a play to break it up. Sean Bobineau out of West Texas City, the former 4A player of the year, a full speed ahead guy, comes up with the play.
Boy, they just run to the football so effectively. Now watch the block. It's a lookout block. Look out, here he comes. Just get out of the way. Bobineau ran right by him.
Tight end Kloppenstein didn't get over there, and the Buffs have another third down. Bobineau, Harrison, Killebrew, that defensive middle, the linebackers, a good job they are doing. Flat, the toss is complete to Sprague. He'll be shy of the first down by plenty, and it will be another Colorado punt.
All right, so then you go back to Clint O'Neill. You say, all right, why is he jumping like that? Why is he flinching? Well, because Texas defense is so fast.
Yep.
He's trying to get the jump on him, and speed will do that to you. It makes you a little jumpy, and he just can't get him regularly.
Torp has more of the field to kick this time to Aaron Ross. See if he shows that strong left leg on this one. Run into, no flags, it didn't fall. The kick was only 37 yards. Ross on the run. It's a lot of work for no return. 38 on the net and a very late flag in there. Tim, we were talking about defense and how good the Texas defense is and how good they're performing, how well they're performing, excuse me, this afternoon. You look back at the last 4 national champions, they have one thing in common: excellent defense.
Play, a personal foul on number 17 of the kicking team. The penalty is 15 yards, and it's first down.
That's Lawrence Vickers, and will give Texas even better field position. So when you're looking at these teams at the top as we get ready for that first BCS poll and so on, understand that defense still does win championships. Ohio State won all those close games. Even the game with Miami, they were talking about Miami's offense. It was the defense that shut them down and on through the last couple of years.
Always, Mike. That has never changed since they started playing this great game of football. And this defense right here might be the best that Max ever had. Last week, this defense allowed 2.6 yards per touch. 2.6 yards against Oklahoma per touch. Unbelievable. You hold Oklahoma to 77 yards rushing, you've had a day.
Vince Young to the air, amongst Taylor, made a few miss. Here comes a flag.
Face mask. Yep. Inadvertent.
And to that short gain.
It's one of those deals where you're just trying to grab cloth. You reach out, you're trying to get anything you can, and your hand scrapes across his face mask. Inadvertent, but it'll cost you.
Flags on 4 of the last 5 plays for Colorado.
As a defensive guy, you go, oh, no, because you didn't mean to do it. Sometimes your fingers get caught in there.
An inadvertent face mask on number 40 of the defense. The penalty is 5 yards from the end of the run, and replay first down.
You know, and while we're talking about the defense, I mean, Texas offense is out here, but I mean, this has just been one of those things where they just set this offense up like teeing up a ball high. I mean, it's just, they give them great field position all the time.
You see the face mask, and Tim, it's one of those offense, defense, does not matter.
No.
They get along very well. There are no cliques on this team. This is as comfortable and happy and friendly a group of players that I've been around all year and really the last couple of years. Taylor gets the first down, brought down at the 37-yard line. It starts with that guy right there. Vince is friend of the offense, friend of the defense. I was talking to Wright, a couple of the other defensive players. They love Vince Young and what he brings and what he's about. And Vince was quoted, said, hey, I enjoy getting our adjustments, what we're going to do the next series, and then watching our defense play, because they play with such a passion, it sends me onto the field with a different attitude.
This is one of his best performances ever, I think. I mean, he's just been in a rhythm since the game has started.
23 of 27 throwing. The running game has been aided by that as Sylvan Young takes it inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Texas has rolled up 423 yards of offense, about 8 yards per pop here today.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier. We touched on it. The trend in football at every level is to have a quarterback who runs well and passes well. In the Big 12, Vince Young, Reggie McNeil at A&M, the two of the best we saw, Marcus Higgins last week and Marcus Vick down at Virginia Tech. They're like that. But the game of football has gone like that, and the quarterback now has to be accounted for defensively.
Young brought to an E quickly by Thaddeus Washington, who's been active on defense. You know, it's so often heard now from defensive coordinators that running quarterback who you have to account for. And football was difficult for the defense when it was 11 on 10. Because the offense knows where it's going.
Passing play.
That's right. The offense knows where it's going, so you don't have to account for that quarterback. I can cover with your guys and kind of break even. Now when you add a guy who can run it for 6 per carry and score 3 touchdowns on the ground, now you have to account for him. You're really, truly outnumbered if you have any sort of decent wide receivers with a running quarterback.
And in Texas, you used to have to account for him anyway in the wishbone because it was assignment defense.
And you see the play clock diving down on 3rd and 1. The big back pounds forward. Henry Melton with the carry. Moves the chains for a first down. He doesn't look 272 pounds. But what was it that Greg Davis said, the offensive coordinator? When he gets those pads low, it's like trying to tackle a Volkswagen. I haven't done that before, but that doesn't sound like fun.
I'm not sure what that means.
So inside of a minute, 3rd quarter, Texas going for that put it out of reach score. And they're plenty comfortable now, up 25. And the big guy, go get him, Melton. Well, they found him. He can make a good collision point. No gain. Akarika Dom made the tackle.
You know, we've been talking about Texas defense. Let's take a look at the Dodge defensive playbook, and we'll show you. This is picture perfect. If you look at number 5 right here, he's going to play this thing. Go ahead and roll it as well as you can. You want to use the sideline. You want to play him inside out. You want to get in his hip pocket. Now turn and locate the ball. Folks, you cannot play defense any better than that. And I'll tell you, Terrell Brown is one of those guys who's got great speed. He's got good size at 6 feet, 200 pounds. He's prototypical cornerback that can play at the next level. But that technique is good coaching, and he just executed that perfectly.
Wayne Aquino, the co-defensive coordinator with Gene Chizik. A lot of good players that he's taught over on that defensive side of the ball. Melton carries for a couple, and the cannon sounds to get us to the 4th quarter. All Texans. No scoring in the 3rd. They still lead by 25. An ABC Sports presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from your ABC station. Well, the home of Bevo could very well, in the next hour, be the home of the #1 team in the nation.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah. USC Notre Dame all tied at 21 as they play in the second half.
We were talking coming in how people were saying Virginia Tech would be ahead of Texas at #2 and Texas be #3. Now we see USC in a battle with Notre Dame tied at 21, and they could be #1.
Vince fakes it, throws it, pass interference flag coming up. That was actually a smart play by the defensive back. Brian Carter was going to break free, and Tyrone Henderson just grabbed his arm and said, hang on, not going to let you go all the way there. We'll call it pass interference and give the Longhorns a first down. Tough day for Gary Barnett's team, but they could very well see Texas again.
Pass interference on #3 of the defense. It's a spot foul and an automatic first down.
On December 3rd in the Big 12 championship game, the Buffs will go to 2-1 with the loss here, and everybody else has a loss already in the North. There it is. It was actually already called before that.
Yeah, it was called before that. He grabbed his jersey, and sometimes that's not a bad play. If the guy's going to run by you and has an easy touchdown, just grab his jersey, get the 15 yards, because unlike the pros, I mean, it's just a 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage.
First down for Vince Young. If you're just joining us, he's having another fabulous day. 58 yards rushing, 315 passing. Selvin Young has been the carry-the-load guy in this drive, and here's John Saunders. A wild game there in Ann Arbor. If Michigan loses, they'll be 3-4, looking like the 1967 team that did not get to a bowl. They'll finish under 500. 2nd and 8. Here is Vince Young to the end zone. One more time. Touchdown, Lima Swede. Do we have a marker in the end zone? Yes, we do. We have a marker thrown down there in the end zone amongst the players.
Pass interference on #10 of the defense. Penalties declined. It's a touchdown.
And the second one of the day for Lima Swede. I think that will be Vince Young's final play of the game.
Mike, his vision today has been spectacular. You could see his head there. He looked left, then he goes back right. And he sees Swede and throws the ball perfectly. He's thrown it so well all day. As you said, his numbers, he's almost perfect. Just been phenomenal. But look, he looks left, looks right, steps up. He's got that quick release right off his ear. You know, the scouts, they talk about his inconsistent arm angle. His results are phenomenal.
Extra point added by Pino. 386 yards of total offense for Vince Young. A Heisman-type performance. Lima Swede finds the end zone for the 2nd time today and the 3rd time on the season. 42-10 at UT. They're thinking, maybe we'll be #1 in about an hour. Gary Barnett's team in 2001 was disappointed by Texas in the regular season when they lost to the Longhorns, but ended up ruining their season after a 41-7 Texas regular season win by beating them in the Big 12 championship game by 2, keeping UT from the national championship game and sending the Longhorns to the Holiday Bowl. Sean Robinson with a return. He's brought down shy of the 20 by Texas. 42-10. Longhorns in great shape here on their way to 6-0. Colorado's going to drop here to 4-2.
You know, anytime a runner starts to go sideways like that, it's like chum to a shark. Texas just loves that. You have no chance to outrun these guys sideline to sideline. So if they start going sideways, they know you're not gaining any ground.
We mentioned Texas Tech, Texas next Saturday on ABC, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 here in the Central Time Zone. Be a matchup of undefeateds. Colorado will play Kansas at home. They're going to drop to 4-2 and be tied for first in the Big 12. On Fine Williams, he's out of bounds. 42-10. The Horns on top. A minute in here, 4th quarter.
Colorado, you just now want to play, and you want to play as hard as you possibly can. You just don't want to go in the tank. You're down 42-10. You know the outcome has been decided. Now you're playing, as the old cliche goes, for pride, but I mean, there's a lot to that. Been on a lot of planes and been on lopsided scores like this on the wrong end of them, and they aren't pleasant flights.
Tough trip back. Sure. Flats throw too high to be hauled in by Patrick Williams. What you got there, Timmy?
Take a look at the IBM Star Watch, and of course you've got to go directly to Vince Young. What a spectacular day he has had. He's done everything you could ask for. 24 of 28, 328 yards. Look at this. I mean, these numbers are phenomenal. When he was in the Rose Bowl, the MVP had 372 yards of total offense. And he had the same kind of day here today. Fans still buzz about their performance in Pasadena. They'll be buzzing about this performance here because it's as good as you can play.
Responsible for 5 Texas touchdowns on the afternoon. Third and long one toss. Wide open is the tight end, and Joe Kloffenstein takes it shy of midfield. Gain of 21. Kloffenstein's had a good day. That's his 3rd grab. 17th on the season.
Well, in the tight ends, and we've said this throughout, the tight ends really are the focal point of their offense. As you said, it's not a vertical offensive attack. It's more of a play action. It's waggle. It's run between the tackles, but your tight ends are the guys. You've got Kloffenstein at 6'6", and Sipnowski at 6'7", and those are your leading receivers.
1st and 10, ball resting on midfield. Room to run for Hugh Charles. Gain of about 2 yards. 17 runs, 43 yards for the Buffs on the day. Of course, Tim, with Colorado coming back in the national polls in the top 25, a lot of people with their attention back on CU, and it immediately brings up what's been happening there. And of course, you go back to just a very difficult time when Gary Barnett was suspended, put on administrative leave by the president, Betsy Hoffman, who's no longer there. All going back to the recruiting scandal, which came to light after Rick Riley's column in Sports Illustrated with the issues brought up from Katie Nida, the female kicker, of mistreatment, verbal and physical, by some players on the Colorado roster. It unearthed the recruiting issues that got to the heart of alcohol and sex and other things being involved in recruiting of football players, to the point that the NCAA rules for recruiting have changed. And thankfully so, unfortunately, because of the pain that some had to suffer regarding that. Well, Gary Barnett is still in Boulder and still the football coach at CU. Flat throws out of bounds and incomplete. Gary's contract has not been extended through this whole process, and now you're in one of those gray areas because he has the rest of this season and then next season. And as we all know in football recruiting, if you are not more than a year out with your contract, it's hard to go knock on doors and say, hey, come play at Colorado, come play and represent this university. I don't know if I'm going to be there, but we want you to come play, and you've got to act like you're going to be there. The new athletic director's been hired, and yet there has been no discussion about extending Barnett as the head coach.
Yeah, I agree, and he recognizes the fact that it's a tough situation to recruit, and then the audit comes into it, and you're going to houses, and they say, well, I'd like to play for you, coach, but are you going to be there? And he says, yeah, I'll be there. This will all be over in X amount of months, and then it hits the papers. It's a tough situation for Gary right now.
This punt will be downed beautifully inside the 10-yard line. Best kick by Torp of the day. Let's talk more about this when we come back. We'll hear from Gary Barnett what the effects had, and one of his players, too, talking about the impact on the CU program. Seen far from Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium. Started playing football here back some 80 years ago.
Saw Coach Royal, saw Coach Royal and Mrs. Royal before the ball game, and boy, they look fantastic.
Yeah, it really does. In his 80s, the legendary coach who won 3 national titles here, 11 Southwest Conference titles, had no losing seasons in his 20 years. Vince Young still in the game for Texas. Selvin Young carries. He goes nowhere. We'll have second down coming up as you watch the scores go by. Many of those 9 unbeatens pushed today. Alabama able to survive with Ole Miss. Michigan has just kicked a field goal with 3:45 left in Ann Arbor, leading undefeated Penn State 21-18. And LSU and Florida have gone back and forth in their tight fourth quarter. Texas Tech comes in here next week. Huge win. Cody Hodges, 643 yards.
Really Texas' last big hurdle until the championship game.
Once the guys from Baylor all of a sudden show up, they're 9-1 or 10-1. They're rolling, but you would say in all likelihood. And then you have the A&M game at the end of the season on Thanksgiving Friday.
A&M's one of those teams where I'm not sure how good they are yet. I mean, they're playing well again today. Last week they stumbled to Colorado, and Colorado beat them up pretty well. Offensive line for Texas doing a great job today as well. We haven't talked much about them, but you know, here's a big offensive line. Averages 6'5", 314 pounds. Keith Jackson used to say, corn-fed and hand-spanked. The old big uglies in there, but they've done a great job today protecting Young.
They got some people with offensive line pedigree. You saw Jonathan Scott there. His dad Ray played for the Jets. Casey Studdard, 64. Folks in Denver remember his daddy. Lamont Taylor lost the football, couldn't get it back. It's free. The Buffs got a great shot at it.
And they got it.
Yep, I think it's J.J. Billingsley, bottom of the pile. Whoa, that's a flag.
Yeah, absolutely a flag.
Mike Garcia out of Bowie High School here in Austin.
So that'll probably be half the distance, Mike. They'll move it down inside the, depending where that fumble is, but it looks like it might be inside the 5.
Terry Washington in there as well for the Buffs. Let's watch Taylor trying to make a play. Not secure in the old ball.
No, nice play by Terry Washington, number 10. Hit him from behind, and when he did, that arm came down and stripped the ball loose. Watch his arm from behind. Bam. Actually, it was his right arm. Came around and punched it.
But guys are so good at that, and it's drills too. They, you know, what happens
Practice
during
it all the time.
Yeah, what happens during practice? Those Mondays, those Tuesdays, those off weeks. Ball drill, strip it, make something happen.
Play, a personal foul on number 51 of the offense. The penalty's half the distance to the goal, and it's a first down.
Well, you're right, Mike. They do that. They practice the strip, but also in the old days, they used to tell you to get on that fumble, just dive on it and cover it up. Now they tell you to scoop and score.
Right, right.
Athletes are such that they just want to. Now the crowd comes to their feet because they understand football and they want the defense to hold.
There's so many more athletes on defense. You're right. That's why we're seeing more special plays by those guys. Look at this crowd. Great stuff from the fans here in Austin. See if CU can get back on the board. They run with Byron Ellis. Takes it down to 3.5-yard line. Second and goal coming up.
Tim Crowder was coming off the edge. He was hoping it was coming his way, but he still chased it all the way down to the other side and was in on the tackle.
We'll send Patrick Williams up to the top of your screen. Start exchanging and flopping. Maybe they can get a tight end loss like Klopfenstein, who's the motion guy, 89. Klopfenstein's out in the flat, looking that way, throwing that way. And if I knew it, the Texas defense knew it. And if Michael Huff knows it, he's as good an athlete as there is, so he's going to get out there and make a play.
He is the best athlete in that secondary, I can tell you that. He's their best defensive back. Boy, he's got that great arm length. Watch number 7 at the end of this play. See him there on the screen, kind of sliding with the tight end. Now he breaks on the ball. Look at the ground he's got to make up, and that left hand just slaps it away. Left hand to the ball, right hand to make the tackle in case he can't reach it. Great play by number 7, Michael Huff.
We covered Mark Clayton, that Oklahoma game, shut him down last year. Covered Teddy Ginn, kept him to 2 receptions in Columbus this year. He is the real deal. Third and goal, flat. Nope, fourth down, coming up. Intended for Judge.
But then, you know, you single out Huff and you say what a great athlete he is, but then you talk about Brown and Griffin and both Griffins. And I mean, there's just terrific players everywhere. And I mean, they're football players. See this? That's number 8, Cedric Griffin, who read it, reacted, jumped in front of the intended receiver. And watch, he's got a receiver right there. Sadowski was open, and he throws it the out, and it's almost picked off by Griffin.
Timeout coming here for Colorado. Obviously going to go for it on fourth down with 9:43 remaining in regulation time.
Show you how 45 Sadowski kind of slipped in there and was open, but of course that was late developing, so Joel Klatt doesn't see that, and he goes to the outside.
Especially with Klatt being on the run there to the right, trying to get to his other tight end. See if the Buffs can get in the end zone right after this. Remember, these fans have been great on this drive, so we'll let you listen to them for this play. Touchdown, Klopfenstein.
And again, Joel Klatt takes a hit as he releases the football. One thing about Texas defense, it is very, very aggressive. Gene Chizik Wayne Aquino, they just bring it. And they're always bringing blitzes from different angles. This time they come off the corner. Klopfenstein kind of slides in there. And Joel hangs in long enough to see him make his cut and hit him with the pass. But he knew he was going to get hit as soon as he released it.
Mason Crosby adds the extra point, 42-17 for the Buffs. Well, Timmy, before that timeout earlier, we were talking about everything that happened at Colorado, the uncertain future with Gary Barnett, still a year on his contract. Gary talked about the entire issue, and if the scandal from a year, almost 2 years ago now, still hangs over this about Katie Hnida after the story came out. And now, as you mentioned, there's an audit going on to an IRS investigation to the finances of the football camp that runs independent of the football program. As long as that comes back without any further issues being raised, you would think, because of the way things have gone, now you don't have a president in place and a chancellor for a very long time, new athletic director, you think Colorado's going to have to make a decision pretty quickly here at the end of the season if they're going to extend Barnett or not. If they don't, then they're really damaging a program for 3 or 4 years. It's not for us to say what they should do at this point with Gary Barnett, but just looking long term for the people you have in this program. If you lose 2 years of recruiting, letting a guy twist in the wind, you're damaging your program long term, and we know how important athletics has become to universities. It's the front porch, the doorstep to getting into your school and finding out about the research and the professors and everything else.
There's absolutely no question about it. When you see a successful athletic program, you see applications to that university go up, and you've documented exactly what took place so well. But I will say there are probably some things in there, and I know there are, that yes, Gary wish he hadn't done or done better. But I'll tell you, he's handled himself, I think, very, very well through this entire episode with people digging and taking shots. You can dig up anything if you go hard enough at people, but he's handled himself, I think, very, very well.
I agree with you. I echo that. Vince Young's day is done. He's on the sideline after a fabulous performance, responsible for 5 touchdowns and nearly 400 yards of total offense. Matt Nordgren is in, the senior out of Bishop Lynch over there in Dallas. Look at Vince's numbers. 336, only 4 incompletions. Add to the 336, the 58 yards rushing, 394 total yards. And responsible for all those touchdowns here today. 2 nice back-to-back defensive plays made by Jordan Dyson as Nordgren is in the game.
Yeah, and I was going to say the defense for Colorado is still flying around the football and getting up and slapping 5s and still having fun and still trying hard. 42-17, and they're still flying around the football, and that's impressive, and Gary's got to take something from that.
And that's part of what you heard there in Gary's comment, how this team came together and is very close and very tight with the adversity they dealt with last year. Hey, let me correct myself. Vince Young has 5 total touchdowns here today, 3 runs, 2 passes. Nordgren's throw is incomplete, and there's a rare 3 and out for this offense today. Quan Cosby was the intended receiver.
Nordgren does not get much playing time. He's 6'5", 235-pound senior. Came into this game 3 for 4, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So it's good to see him get a few reps in case something unfortunate would happen to Vince Young.
Absolutely, because you have a championship defense here at Texas, and you want to find out what you have behind your quarterback, Vince Young, because things changed drastically, obviously, with Vince out of the picture, if he ever got hurt. Richmond McGee's punt will go out of bounds at the 42-yard line, and Colorado takes over there with 8:14 remaining.
You go down that list of quarterbacks here at Texas, and the true freshman named Colt McCoy. He's got a live arm and a big-time name.
The one they are very excited about. Colorado back on the field, down 25. Be right back. 25 with Notre Dame leading by 3 in the 4th quarter of that one in South Bend. Austin may be home with the top team in the nation when all is said and done on this night. James Cox out of Simi Valley, California. The junior is coming at quarterback, and already we have a flag down. He has played in 3 games, including last week.
Snap. A false start by number 62 of the offense. The penalty is 5 yards, and it's still first down.
Mop-up roll against Texas A&M. Joel Klatt's day is done.
Boy, he's going to be sore tomorrow. I know that. He took some of the biggest hits you've seen in a long time. Every time it seemed like he threw a pass, he was being hit and knocked to the ground.
Joel completing under 50% of his passes again here today against Texas. Texas has done that to a few quarterbacks this year. So James Cox to the air. Pass incomplete, intended for Patrick Williams.
Take a look at the Pacific Life game summary, and it's all Vince Young. Spectacular today, throwing and running. Was almost flawless in the first half. Look at this. Dives over, quarterback sneak, 1 yard. Vince Young to the outside, 16-yard touchdown run. Vince Young again, like jingle joints, down to the end zone. And then how about this, the 35-yard strike? Swede, touchdown. Look again, Swede, touchdown. Just as good as you can possibly get, making a statement for the Heisman Trophy. And a terrific performance today by Vince Young.
The pass by Cox was knocked down. We'll have third down coming up. Vince Young responsible for 5 touchdowns. Of course, in Texas history, Ricky Williams had 2 6-touchdown games, 6 actual touchdowns scored.
A difference in him this year, and we've talked about it, but I mean, here's a guy, the quarterback that ran for over 1,000 yards last year. Now he's still running, but he's throwing so much more effectively.
Pass for Cox is incomplete. Sprague got tied up on the sideline, but no flag. Vince only scoring 3, but responsible for 5. And the Texas defense gets a nice hand as it comes off the field. Giving up 189 yards today, so they will improve their 5th in the nation average of yards allowed, unless a couple of big Colorado drives come up here at the end of the game.
You know, the other thing that we were talking about is this team, time of possession today, and this is not a time of possession team. Normally Texas is a quick strike team. 6 offensive drives or 1 play. 1 play drives.
Cosby with the punt return to the 27-yard line. How about that opening drive? Just that was devastating. If you're just joining us, 16 plays, 90 yards, took all the steam and energy out of this Colorado team. It ended up in a Vince Young 1-yard touchdown run, and the route was on for Mack Brown.
And that's the point, because time of possession is a misleading stat with Texas. I mean, you have a quick strike offense. Longhorns have 6 one-play drives. Doesn't take them long to score normally. We saw that last week against Oklahoma. They come in here today and they just melt the clock, shorten the game, and so efficient and getting points out of it.
7:50 remaining. What a joy it was to visit with Mack Brown here this week. First down run for about a yard or 2. Here's Mack talking about how satisfied he is right now and enjoying being the head coach at Texas.
It's a great time in my life right now because you've got to embrace being the football coach at the University of Texas. It's got to be one of the best places in the world if you enjoy it, not if you let it eat you up. It's a fun time, and as miserable as coaches are across the country, I said I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to enjoy this time in my life. I fought hard to get here, and I'll be darned if I'm going to be miserable.
And, you know, we were both making the point to Mack at lunch yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen him as relaxed as he is and having fun.
Chris Openaya here running now. Susie Schuster down in the field. Suze?
Well, Tim, when you talk about the joy that Mack Brown has, all you have to do is see him with his quarterback. His whole face lights up when Vince Young walks in the room. He can't wait to put his arms around him. He's so proud of this kid, and I think he's really played a central role as a father figure for Vince. Clearly, as we all know, Vince grew up without much of a father figure in his life, and he's only too happy to embrace Brown in that process.
Yeah, that's a good point, Susan. He also is like a credit card without a limit. I mean, you know, Mack knows he's got a horse there and he's going to ride him.
Well, to his credit, you know, we kind of joked, as we mentioned earlier, Mack downloading some songs on his iPod that are rap songs, some 50 Cent. Nordgren's pass is incomplete.
Mack makes an effort.
Yeah, looking for the flag for pass interference. It's not coming. And it was very well put in one of the articles in one of the Texas papers. I forget if it was the Austin paper or over in Dallas. How, you know, it's Mack in many ways opening up his mind and his eyes, obviously from a different generation and a different upbringing, to the songs which are truly the story of the hardscrabble life that a lot of the kids have led to get to the point where they become athletes. Sports is the thing that keeps them out of the streets and away from drugs and so many different other problems and issues that they have in their lives. And by opening his ears to that, and understanding what the rap music message is about. A lot of it, I can't stand rap music, but when you take the time to listen to the message in it, sometimes you learn.
Poetry.
Yes, you learn that it is a story being told that's the same way love songs told stories in the 40s and songs about war and crisis and all this other stuff. So credit Mack Brown. That's what you have to do to be a successful coach. You're in your 50s. They're in their 20s. The generation and economic society that they were brought up in is vastly different. So you got to open your mind to understand him, and he's really done that.
Yeah, and Mike, you have to admit, that's one of the most impressive things about Mack is he is reaching out. He is trying to learn their music. He's trying to learn their background. He wants to learn what makes them tick. And he's doing. I mean, that gives him a lot of credit. You're right.
Nice play by James Cox here, throwing to Klopfenstein, the tight end, a gain of 3. 2nd and 7 coming up as we get over to the 6-minute mark. Let's dive through some of these scores here. Notre Dame still leading, 7.5 to go. Texas fans will watch that one very, very closely. Bama survived, pushed by Ole Miss. Poor Temple, Bobby Wallace, they're winless. He'll be out at the end of this season. Minute 27 left. Penn State has the ball. Michigan leads by 3. Trying to knock off the last unbeaten within the Big Ten. What a hit. The ball comes out. Did they ruin a catch and a fumble? Yes, they did. And Texas seems to have possession. The Longhorns come up with a turnover. The recovery by Drew Kelsey.
You can hear this hit up here in the booth. Make the catch, turn, bam, dislodge the football with your impact.
Terrell Brown one more time. He's had several big plays on defense today.
See how he breaks down? The power comes through the legs. You break down, you explode through those legs and separate with the football.
So Texas will take over at the 37-yard line.
It's like hitting a golf ball correctly and you just feel a click.
How do we know?
And this is the same way same way when you make a great hit.
Henry Melton pounds forward, 272 pounds, and brings it out for a gain of 6 on that one. And I remind you, following the game, we'll select the Chevrolet players of the game from each team, by the way. Chevrolet making the contribution, $1,000 to each university's General Scholarship Fund.
Yeah, I think we've got to give Joel Klatt some consideration there just for his toughness today. I mean, wow.
Shots he took. And you tipped us off to that on Tuesday. It's when they play teams that are slightly above them in talent, Joel Klatt tends to absorb a lot of hits. Happened again today. Melton tries to keep that set of legs going. He's brought down by Marcus Burton, a Texan. Important game for him. Guy had a big INT for a TD, 99-yarder against Oklahoma State. They like that true freshman. 54. Tim, didn't you find it interesting, and Mack has talked about before, just what he's done to understand and embrace this job as opposed to becoming like a piece of sandpaper to everything that's around you? Because it can get to you, because the fans are demanding that, hey, it's the 3rd winningest program. Big run. Ahmad Hall, the fullback. Susie's got a great story on this guy. Hall gets to run it. He rarely does. He gets a first down. But Mack has surrounded himself with some pretty special people in this program. As a matter of fact, he had to suspend his own personal rule of not letting walk-ons come if they've been 2 years away from football to allow Ahmad Hall to walk on. Susie, what a story that kid is.
Mike, he went on a 4-year tour in Kosovo and Afghanistan. Nothing like having a Marine in the backfield, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Ahmad Hall.
Every team should have a Marine in the backfield. Semper Fi.
Served our country, now came back, kept his dream alive to play football. Melton the carry there. And what was it that Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, said to us yesterday? Tim, boy, you feel good that our country was protected by a guy like that. Sus?
Yeah, he said that football and being a Marine are very similar. Gee, the biggest difference is you're not at war, you're not getting ambushed on a patrol, and you're not out there fighting for your life every night. So other than that, you just might say football and being a Marine have some similarities, Mike.
Well, you know,
don't seem so obvious.
You know, Susan, people and coaches in particular, they always use those terms. You know, well, you know, the kid's a warrior. You know, hey, they're shooting live bullets today when we play against this team. Or, you know, you hear those cliches, and yet this is a game. This is a game. What they're doing over there is a real deal, and this is a game, and he keeps that in perspective.
Fans loving watching the big back Melton carry the load here a couple of times. And, you know, just go back to the basic terminology in the game. Blitz and bomb,
right.
Those are war terms from days gone by. Sus?
One last thing that he did tell me, he said he sees kids these days going to malls to buy dog tags, and he can't quite understand that. He said, I wore dog tags because I had to, and he actually keeps them locked up in safety right now, Mike.
It's one of those items that has been seen in music videos and become part of culture because of that. 3rd and 4 from the 14 as Texas just patting the stats here, getting the final number laid down. Melton carries one more time. Back to Mack Brown. He embraced everything about it. He asked Darrell Royal everything. Coach Royal, as we mentioned, 82 stadiums named after the great Hall of Famer. Just wanted to know every tradition when he came here from North Carolina. How did Hook'em Horn start? Just so we can understand what Texas football's fabric is all about. And that is one thing Mack did at Carolina, one thing he did here. He embraced it, and it's one of the reasons that as he's built the program, he's been able to thrive in it.
There were times he could have been sour, and you know that. I know that. Fans, because he, as successful as he was, he didn't beat Oklahoma, and they were down on him. And I mean, he stayed above all that. He knew he was doing the right things. He knew his program was headed in the right direction. You know, you've got to give him a lot of kudos.
Benaya runs it for a first down, and they're going to take the clock down here with no timeouts. And this game's going to come to a conclusion this afternoon.
I think it came to a conclusion in that first quarter.
It's not funny for the Colorado fans, but you're right. This was a different set of teams. But again, Colorado fans, just remember what happened 3-4 years ago. Texas fans know this. You very well may meet again at Reliance Stadium in Houston in the Big 12 championship game. And in that scenario, a couple of years ago, it ended up being Texas denied its opportunity for the national championship.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's not funny for the Colorado people, but they knew in the first quarter, too, like we did. I mean, some days you just get your butt handed to you, and you go and you learn from it, you get better. And you talk about 2001, that's what happened. They were beaten soundly by Texas, came back and beat them and upset them in the championship game. And that could happen again. And that's the kind of coach right there, folks, that'll get the job done.
Yeah, Gary's crew will be back.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll have them ready for Kansas and Kansas State coming up here the next couple of weeks. They have either 2 or 3 teams all tied up at the top of the Big 12 over in the north. And we'll have the matchup here. What do you think about Texas Tech with their 8 gazillion passing yards coming in here next Saturday, Tim?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how their defense can stop Texas. I really don't see it stopping Texas. So it's going to have to be a good old-fashioned shootout. And Cody's just going to have to light him up in the air, and he's capable of doing that. And they put 59 on the board today.
Yeah, and
let's see what they can do next.
642 yards of lighting up. Hey, before we head out of here, Larry Zimmer, the radio announcer for Colorado, broadcast his 1,000th game. Congratulations to Larry, one of the first-class people in our business. And these two guys are friends, know each other well. A nice handshake and greeting between Mack and Gary, and good chance you guys may see each other again in December. All right, let's bang out our Chevrolet players of the game here in Austin.
Well, there's no question, Mike, about who the Chevrolet player of the game is for Texas. Vince Young, just a spectacular day. 394 yards, total offense, 5 touchdowns. And Joel Klatt, for his toughness, what he did today, ends up 19 of 39, 189, 2 touchdowns, interception. But he gets it because he is just a quality guy and really a tough quarterback.
In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet makes a contribution, $1,000 to each university's general scholarship fund. Here's Susie with the star of the game.
All right, Vince, nearly 400 total offensive yards for you today, 5 touchdowns. What kind of Heisman-like performance was this for you?
I wouldn't say Heisman. I'm not going to talk about the Heisman right now. I mean, it's a great award, but right now I'm just out there playing with my teammates and just getting us a victory.
How about the defense today? When you see a defense playing like they do, what does that mean for you guys on the offense and for the team as a whole?
I mean, we can just go out there, and I mean, if they do stop us, we know that we can punt it away and let our defense come in and do what they've been doing all week, and they've been doing a great job. I mean, it's a great defense.
What do you see when you look ahead next week to Texas Tech?
I mean, them guys are going to try to stay on the field with their offense for a long time, and they're going to try to build physical defense that I've been seeing this past year. So we, as an offense, we got to go out there prepared to play our game as well.
All right, Vince, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Susie. 42-17, the final number. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Search ABC Sports. Well, we got Monday Night Football for you coming up. The Rams in Indianapolis, 9 Eastern here on ABC. See if the Colts can stay undefeated. The final in Austin, 42-17. Texas Tech next Saturday, 2:30 Central Time. The Buffs head back 4-2. Texas could be the #1 team in the country in about 30 minutes. With Susie Schuster, Tim Brand, our entire crew, Mike Tirico saying so long from Austin. We thank you for watching this presentation.